Recording. All
Great.
right, welcome to part three, everyone.
Exactly. And I hope to dive straight into pictures. I'm even on my computer. Hi, Astrid. Hi, Dolly. Hi, Jan. Hi, John. And as yeah, one of our colleagues, I think, hasn't even yet joined us live, but they're just following in at their own convenience. But obviously, do you think Lawrence will join us in due course, Jan?
He said he needs a newer link, so I'm going to send that to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's brilliant. Okay, well, who you just mentioned that someone had sent you some images, Tanya. So why don't we have a look at the pictures that we've got? And if any of you have done
Yes.
them recently, we can also look at them.
So what I can do, Dolly, I saw that you just sent some as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow multiple participants to share screens.
Yeah, I
So
think
when
that
we're
helps.
reviewing
Yeah.
these, everybody can just pull their own. But Jan, for the sake of right
Yeah,
now, the
Jan doesn't know how to
conversation,
do that. So.
I got you, Jan. I got you. Okay, we're going to put that. Great.
Okay.
So let's go. So Jan, I'm going to allow you.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Okay, I'm going to turn my camera off. Then I'm operating on a solar system, so I like to use as much juice on my dish as possible. But that's amazing, Jan. So I'm going to dive in. Tanya, when we
Yes.
see yellow color, because that's a kind of yellow color in a field image like this, what springs to mind?
Either one of two things. That's a very fast, high vibrating color. So it's either divine presence or it's can be stress related. And here, looking at how beautiful Jan's energy is, I would say it's probably divinely related more so. I see a little bit of overexposure with the blue in the back, but depending on Jan's energy, looking how beautiful it is, I would say it's probably divine presence. Your thoughts, Thor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, I do have a set of terms that I use, like overthinking and mentalizing, when I'm probing what it is, because it's lovely to honor someone. I call this color Everest Base Camp to give the impression that someone's already climbed a jolly long way, even hiked 3 or 4 days without any kind of electricity or sort of you've really left humanity by that stage. But even at base camp, you could argue there's a little bit further to go. And so this is an analogy from my perspective of someone who's on the precipice, if you like, of their own realization, their own enlightenment. And I don't mean to speak lightly, really this is right in the kind of hot spot of life, and yet they're vacillating. They kind of they're overthinking and mentalizing. Says, let's stay here in base camp with the tents and all those nice big Austrian fellows, and there's oxygen here and radios, and we're safe here. Whereas what they really wanted to do was get to base camp and then, I guess, take their own scenic route up to this kind of moment of point of singularity, I think we call it now, where someone kind of passes through the needle of their own selves and kind of comes out, without any questions, and no longer a seeker. And as Alex would say, a finder. So looking at someone's biofield like this, we're not really talking about their physicality, we're not talking about their organ function. There may be a sort of, oh, what's this? But it's already kind of, glorious. It's like it's the spiritual. um Whenever I see white like that, as you said, it's a little bluish, like a kind of egg. You just say to the person, well done, like, just well done, like you've navigated. And obviously the next thing we could probably observe is the beautiful green on the chest, which, us smokers and urbanites, we just don't get away with those green fields. And of course that color set spectrum set is the giving, loving, unenvious, untainted, unconditional, you know, presence. So yeah, I agree with you 100%, Tanya. There's almost two signs that show us that Jan is kind of in the elevator at the kind of just before the penthouse suite, and it's only her own humility that's making her linger there in the elevator rather than go in.
So I think what I would ask Thor if I was interpreting these, Jen, so what I do is I like to start from the head and work our way down. So the
Yeah.
first thing I would say is that you're highly intuitive. Now, depending on what time this image was taken, that could be that over mentalizing, that could be stress, or it could be limiting beliefs. Or I would ask the question, do you have headaches? Do you get headaches at all?
Not anymore. That's one of the biggest delights of menopause is no more migraines.
Good
So
one.
when
No,
this photo
seriously, you
was
can't
taken,
underestimate how beautiful that is. It's
was there any stress going on when the photo was taken?
not that I recall. I would
I mean,
agree with Thor
as,
that I definitely can be an overthinker. There's no question about that.
yeah. What about sensitivity to dust and allergies? Is it the season in Arizona for?
It's dust season in Arizona, but it's always dust season in Arizona.
But does it
That was
affect?
taken at 10:40 in the morning, so it wasn't. Yeah, no, I haven't had too much in the way of sinus headaches or anything like that.
Right.
Well, and we
Okay.
can see that here with your sinuses. I don't see any congestion around your eyes and around your temples, though we see a little bit of congested.
Oh,
Now,
my eyes in Arizona are always itchy. It's so dry and it's so
Yeah.
dusty.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I think one of the things we're seeing, which is reality of this two-dimensional imaging, is that there's a combination of things, but we unfortunately don't get really all of the clues unless we know what we're talking about. So, for example, if you look at Jan now, she has fabulous bangs and hair that has body to it. So even when she is pinning it back in you know, like for imaging, those bangs and therefore the shadow that goes along with them is probably still there. So in the chakra viewer image, it's more pronounced because it's out of focus, whereas in the biofield viewer image, maybe we're not seeing it quite so much. I mean, perhaps looking at it like that, that would be something else, you know, that this is an emotional issue of the, you know, spiritual nature and psychic nature, but that isn't really that present in the physical. So, you know, again, I mean, Jan has opened up to mentalizing, and that could be, you know, why we're seeing it more in the in the chakra viewer image.
Dolly, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, when you mentioned about her headaches, if she had headaches, what are you looking at that makes you understand that she has headaches? Because I just want to know, you know, exactly
Nope,
where.
it's good. What we're looking for is I'm always looking, I first hone in on that hot pink and that red, that slow moving congested energy. And that's where I start to break it down. So I like to approach it myself as a literal interpretation, and then I go in through energetic and or like Chinese face mapping and things like that. So what I'm looking at right here is when we're looking at both on biofield and chakra, we're seeing that red congested energy here.
Okay.
A migraine pattern is sort of similar, but a little different than what we've got going on here in the biofield viewer image. It kind of has that wavy, at least through my experience, I found it kind of has a wavy line, and that will sometimes that red or that pink line will come down along the jaw as well. And that's how sometimes we can tell, or I've found from mine, but that's usually migraines or clenching and grinding.
Exactly. exactly. I wanted to jump in there, Tanya, with asking Jan a couple of questions. So my first question is, do you have any dental issues, Jan?
I am a clencher.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like Tanya tuned into that. It's just the pinkness in your jaw is asymmetrical. It's not as in fact we could argue that some of the pink isn't even in your jaw. It looks more like it's just sort of tucked in under your ear, I think. But yeah, just so you're a clencher, but how is your dentistry? Do you have any old childhood amalgam fillings?
I do have amalgam fillings, but most of them were from my 30s when I lived in Canada.
Right. Okay. That's really where I'm going with this questioning, is that I think the pink we're seeing in the image on the right-hand side of the screen is off-gassing effectively. It's the pattern of, and that's why I guess also there's a little bit of pinkness in your lymph node on the left-hand side of your neck. So, you know, I don't think you can bring the holiday to Mexico and changing the fillings at a biological dentist sooner. You know, it's a big deal to kind of
Done
just
the mercury toxicity, the
test.
urine thing, and I was not leaching anything
Right.
3 years ago. So
Yeah. Well, have you ever seen the video where someone just brushing an amalgam filling and is enough to get that amalgam to off gas?
I've not seen that, but
It's kind of pretty like, ooh, especially the fact that, as I understand it, you know, for the bacteria that can affect other things in our system, the way they love to be drawn into us is through the mouth. And to them, an amalgam filling is a kind of gold mine. They love to kind of get nourished with that kind of metallic environment. So
okay.
I would certainly recommend oil pulling, and I use H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. I just put like a spray it in my mouth and let the white fizz do its magic. Because
Okay.
if your fillings aren't leaking and you have a good kind of mouth, you know, like reef control, so you keep the little fishes at bay, that, you know, that whole thing may clear up. But I think we've asked you about things like headaches, which you're saying, well, when I
Not
was
anymore. No.
menopausal, right? Yeah, but the thing is, I think what happened really was that when you were going through menopause, because you had this slow off gassing from the amalgam fillings from your 30s, you didn't have that squidge, that kind of movement, that wiggle room of a totally perfect head space. And so with the stress of the menopause, you got all these side effects because you were already kind
Oh,
of mixed out on your
I
carb.
got menopause when I was 40 when I had hysterectomy.
I don't doubt that, but you still had
So
fillings before
yeah,
that.
it was
Yeah,
a very precipitous event.
no doubt, no doubt. Well,
It
anyhow,
wasn't this nice little slow, gradual hot flash and
no.
all
Well,
that funness. It was
we're getting some
not right
experience
now.
about these things. But I mean, even that ring on your belly there, under your brassiere, is that ring there is kind of like, oh, it catches your eye. Biofield imaging is all about what catches the eye.
I've got a boatload of scar tissue there. I had 3 C-sections and a hysterectomy, and I have a lot of scar tissue
Yeah.
right there under my diaphragm.
Well,
It's
that's probably what it is. And in the same way on your shoulders, we've got another sort of signature pattern, which shows, I think I would call that, you know, poor work ergonomics. That's kind of 30. What were you doing in your main career? Were you at a computer system?
no.
What were you doing?
Oh, I have done so many different things. I was a lab rat for dozens of years, and then I worked in industrial fermentation. So I was working out in large scale 100,000 gallon fermenters.
Right.
And then
So
I went to pharmacy school.
were you
So
carrying a lot of stuff?
No.
What
Jan
about,
was using
were
a
you?
microscope, so she was leaning forward with very bad ergonomics.
Ah, yeah, well, that's what I'm getting to. That's really what I'm trying to find
That's
out. Why your
probably
neck
the
and your shoulder?
microscope was definitely hard on my neck. Absolutely.
Right, okay, so Lawrence is getting this game really well. He hasn't said a word, but
Yeah.
he totally gets this game, which is we've got these kind of clown red noses which show up in the biofield when we take a proper set of images, and they're cues to traumas, bad ergonomics, lifetime bad. You said dozens of years, I think.
Yeah.
So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing motherhood and the scars of motherhood. We're seeing, hard work and the patterns of hard work, and then this kind of small thing about the fillings, which, I don't know. I don't know whether I would trust the gamekeeper with testing my lead fillings. I would just kind of do proper research. I mean, the best thing to do is muscle test them. You actually stick your finger in on each tooth that has a filling and see, which one is the weakest, because it could just be one of your fillings. And like I said, if you took your Biofield viewer and multi-scan into your biological dentist for a swapsy, you might not end up getting charged, and he'd be delighted to kind of see what's up.
I'm
Brilliant.
not on to do that. So
Is there anything else that anyone else has seen in these images? I mean, Dolly, you've not seen these pictures before. What do they make you think?
Okay, I see a pretty balanced person.
Yeah,
A
symmetry.
very, yeah, symmetry. Even though she has on her right arm, she has that orange, but I think that's almost the same thing on the left side. But I see that there's balance. I like the colors a lot. Beside the pink, and I'm learning what the pinks, mean, and that's the reason why I was asking. But I I see a beautiful soul.
Well said. Well said. Well said. And Astrid, are you here as well? Oh, wow. Let's
Okay,
just keep
go back.
going. Um,
this is my mother
Wonderful.
who turned 102 in April.
Wonderful.
Oh.
And what's her daily ritual?
Her daily ritual now mainly consists of sleeping, reading, and eating. So
Sleeping, eating, and reading. Okay, so
yeah.
I get all of those things. So she's got good eyes for reading, does she?
She has macular degeneration, but Kindles make reading possible.
Oh,
So,
wonderful. Brilliant.
yeah.
What a life extension gift that is. And does she have any does she have any history of kind of chesty type things in her life?
She has congestive heart failure.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So she's
That's such a fabulous smile.
yeah.
There's a guy whose name escapes me, but I'll slay it. It's something like Osvinsky or something. He operates out of San Diego, and he actually has written several papers on these amazing kind of remedy essences that he's produced, which actually, he's been able to say, I can cure congenitive heart failure. It sounds rather dramatic, but I mean, it sounds like the kind of thing you want to do if you've got it. But anyhow,
Homeopathic remedies keep her going.
yeah,
So
I'm sure. I'm sure.
she's
There is a slight difference with this yellow, isn't there, than the yellow that we had with you. It was more kind of golden, your yellow. This is
they were
more
taken on different days.
yeah, no, but that's probably her yellow. That's the yellow of someone who's very intellectual, or a real thinker anyway, like a thinker. And I mean, she's got a lot of yellow, so one could say she probably thinks a lot when she's awake. But luckily, she doesn't. She's got her day governed by other forces now. And again, she's got that same electric green. You both look like a pair of leprechauns, in terms of that kind of love, healing, balanced energy. Because you'll see
She's such
some
a
people,
lovely person. She really is.
yeah, she really does look it as well.
Yeah.
Gallbladder.
Gallbladder.
Yeah, how's her gallbladder?
How's her gallbladder?
Her gallbladder's, well, it's 102 years old, but she's never had problems with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it. But does
So-
she pee properly? You know, like she gets up and pees, does she?
Oh, she does, yes. Yeah.
Well, that's handy. It's a real bummer.
She only goes, if wheelchairs to come over to my house, she walks with a walker when she's at her home.
Right, fair enough.
But she has bone on bone knee that's caused her a lot of discomfort lately, and she's fallen a couple times. So when she goes out, we kind of keep her in the wheelchair. So
Yeah.
Head injuries?
Pardon?
Dolly, if you have a question, go ahead.
Yes, why did you ask about the gallbladder?
Because I am comparing notes from the meridian lines. So I'm looking for things just offhand. It's truly an exploratory inquiry.
Yeah.
Um,
Show her the book.
But
so-
I actually think that's an important note that brings up this topic is interpretations. And I think, Token, what you're doing with meridians versus like Chinese face mapping, depending on what your protocol or what your, your profession is and what your practice is, you can use your knowledge to interpret the imaging based off of whatever your modality is, and using the general guidelines that the color is frequency and vibration.
Yeah, the
And
next I was gonna go to would be the neurovascular holding points. But I mean, I didn't do the obvious question. You said she fell down. Has she ever injured her head? She ever hit her head recently?
she hit her head the 4th of July.
Okay. So that might
So
explain that. I was getting a little too
Had 4
complex.
staples in it. So
Oh, which side?
right side, just behind the right ear.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of an integrative practitioner, isn't it? And the good thing about images like this, you can send them to your different peers and get different opinions and, perspectives on, the journey that your clients are taking. Hi,
The
Lawrence.
part that I was concerned about was her jaw on the chakra picture.
Mhm.
This was taken 2 days before she broke off a tooth, and I actually think that she's got probably some infection in that
Right.
jaw.
Hydrogen peroxide. Do you have that
Okay.
food grade stuff?
I do.
Yeah, just put a little in a tiny spray bottle and we'll
Okay.
sort it out in less than
You
3 days.
could probably also, not just in the mouth, but also on the neck.
Okay.
What, spray hydrogen peroxide?
Yeah, just on the outside of the face and on the neck.
Right.
I mean, leave it for a few seconds and then wipe it down or highly dilute it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, 102-year-old version,
yeah,
homeopathic version.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what I would do. If she can take it, it really doesn't, you can put just a couple of drops in a centimeter of water and just rinse it. It doesn't have to be. I put the 12% in, we can actually experience the fizzing going on. But
Okay.
any other questions about these images and why we're saying what we're saying? Good. I mean, what we can say for sure is that we got quite in there, didn't we, Jan? In the sense that
Yeah.
even my colleague here was able to ask about a head injury, which is certainly not obvious.
That's amazing. Yeah.
From but just being able to track down through the meridians and see how the gallbladder was kind of showing. Yeah.
how's her? She eats, sleeps, and reads and such. How is her digestion?
I mean, it's kind of problematic.
Yeah. Okay.
She has, I think when she was in her late 80s, she started having quite a bit of diarrhea, and we went to the gastroenterologist, and he said let me ask you this, what are you willing to do about this? And she said, absolutely nothing.
Mm.
And so he said, take Imodium.
Okay.
Now, she does a little bit of Imodium. She does a lot of digestive enzymes. She does a lot of, she's got some homeopathic things that we're putting it on, some
Right.
zeolite, bentonite kind of stuff.
Sure. So what Thornton is giving you, well, actually, I'm going to give you more information, but what Thornton told you about the hydrogen peroxide will help with all of those digestive things. And in fact, for example, the stomach meridian goes around the face like this and comes down. And the muscles associated with it are the neck flexors, extensors, the neck muscles, some of the muscles associated with the stomach meridian. And also here, the neurovascular holding points here and other places around the face there have to do with the stomach and the neck
Okay.
muscles again. And through these things, through the teeth, like Thornton was saying, in the mouth, taking care of that bacteria stuff. And it affects because it goes into the ears, and that's part of the drainage in the neck, and as well as what you're intaking and taking into the body for the digestion. You're swallowing this stuff. So
Okay.
if she has sinus issues at all,
She used
and
to have a lot of sinus issues.
well, and they may have just, but the stuff with the hydrogen peroxide is like at the beginning of the source thing, and might even
Okay.
help clear up a lot of that.
Yeah, I think it will.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so whose dog is this and who is this?
This is my daughter and my dog.
Wow, what a great
Oh.
big giant. What kind of dog is that?
He is a Pyredoodle.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
His mommy's Great Pyrenees and his daddy was a standard poodle. So
Well, I don't know whether John, there's so many people on this call, I didn't even get to, yeah, there's John. He's just quietly sitting there. Appreciate you, John. We've really been working very hard on Petal. Maybe now's a good time to segue
Yes.
in to the 3D aspect of it.
Yes. We have well, it's still in development at the moment on the web version. The 3D in Biofield Viewer, if you go into 3D mode and choose subtle, then that has, and then choose the low color mode, I think is best. That is a very good way to see through the hair of animals. So it focuses on the kind of aura around the animal rather than the hair, and it's very, very different. It's the most unique part of Biofield Viewer. One of the most unique parts of Biofield Viewer is the subtle mode in 3D.
Yeah, so this is a good way of working with it. I mean, I had hoped to do a demonstration of it today, to be honest, but I would encourage you all to get the 3D viewer in action, because as I said, we use it in a different way, so you need to practice that. You're actually taking the camera off the tripod and holding it, and you may find you don't even need to have your light on because of what it's doing. And the key thing about the 3D is the angle that you're filming at. And that's why you've taken it out of the tripod. And you're basically flying the camera over the body like a satellite, like a low-level satellite. So you can see, and especially if, say, someone's got a lot of moles, or not so much freckles, but just kind of skin blemishes. And if someone's got thin hair and you can see kind of warty type structures under the hairline, that's a really good way of filming that without getting fugazied by shadow. But fundamentally, the issue with images like the one on the screen in front of us is shadow caused by the fur, because we're taking a great deal of trouble to take images of people where there isn't shadow. But when you have a big hairy animal like this, we can't help it. And that's why John is saying, go to 3D, get
Okay.
around the problem. So I would encourage you to do these images again. But even so, there's some hot pink in and around the mouth in the one image or the two images where she is turned towards us. So, you know, have a look there. I mean, it doesn't look like anything. It looks like three shadows to me, but you know, that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. And they could be, you know, obviously animals, even big hairy animals, don't actually have much hair on their tummies. So there is that give a dog a scratch on its when it's lying on its back and take pictures,
Okay.
you know, scratch with one hand and 3D satellite scan with the other. It's actually quite, you'll be surprised how easy it is to do. If your camera's got a half decent cable on it, you can kind of, and then you might suddenly find something that's there, that's asymmetrical, that's hot, and that, you know, it could be anything. It could be like in a chicken bone or something, and it's stuck, and so we can save them. But obviously, if people are coming to us as a family and they've got a poorly dog, then that's the time to take a scan of a couple of poorly dogs. Or even, you know, remember we can process any images. So you could, Google and take out 10 clips of dogs in hospital lying on the table and run it through the 3D imaging and go, well, I know this dog, the vet has just announced he's about to have surgery on his XYZ. And so I'm going to run that picture through. So you don't have to go through that. I mean, I haven't made that slideshow yet, but I think if I was, you know, a vet or a sort of animal healing type person, it might be a sensible thing to make. But definitely we can see a beautiful connection between these two. And the other thing I would say is that probably the pattern we're seeing on your daughter's chest is the shadow of her head on the wall behind, because we see it in various different images in various different ways. But that's not an uncommon thing to see on, say, someone with a pacemaker or
Well, hold on, Thor. I think
yeah.
Jan, do you want to share? I got the email, so Lawrence already filled me in. I know what your daughter deals with. Do you want to fill
Well,
Thor in
you
on
can,
that?
but there are the other pictures of her actually.
Yeah, let's see other
We're
pictures.
alone?
Yeah, we can't
Yeah.
analyze these images.
Yeah, I
No,
can't
you
see.
don't need any like those, but there's some of her in her organic white cotton bra.
Okay, let's do that. Let's see her pictures.
So,
I don't have those. This is all
Oh,
I have.
I'll get
Um,
those right sent.
but
I didn't
actually,
get
okay.
the shadow
Lawrence, you can
because
share.
first, what's that?
You can screen share. So I've allowed everyone to screen share. So if you
Okay,
have
let
those
me
images,
pull those up right this second then.
okay. So,
And if I screen share, do I have a button for it? Share content?
Yeah, you can then
Photos.
choose
I'm gonna
what-
actually have to, I can't share my email, but I can save this to photos and share my photos. So give me one
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. In the meantime, yeah. So who else took images that have sent images in to Tanya?
I did.
no, Dolly sent some. So I don't know,
Okay,
Dolly, did
well,
you want to share?
Yes, I can do that. Let me just do a share thing. Okay, screen and then
Oh, wow. Look at Laura. I just got Lawrence's pictures too. Gorgeous.
yeah, amazing. Yeah,
okay,
we
do
got
you
lots
want,
to figure out.
okay, this is what, okay, this, do you want to continue with her?
No,
I'm
no,
ready,
no, we jump around. This is jump around time.
Okay.
I'm kind of ready. I can do this now.
Well,
Okay, so
just hang on.
don't worry, I'll stop sharing. And then, so you can continue, okay?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, we still got a good set of Dolly's images, so now I'm thinking about them. Okay, perfect. Well, these are very powerful. Wow. Does she have a t-shirt suntan, Jan, your daughter?
yes.
In other words, she's got brown arms from being outside, but she wears t-shirts.
Mhm.
because that explains the blue arms right there. It's just skin tone sets, but there may still be a lot going on in the arms. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go here. Your daughter must be 30, did you say?
34.
34. Okay. So very similar fields all three of you have got, haven't you? I mean, it's quite unusual for three generations for that, to be something so striking, I would say. So you guys must be very well connected.
We are.
Yeah. And so do you all live in the same kind of hood? Are you all in Arizona now?
No, she's in St. Paul, Minnesota, but she was down here visiting. My mom lives 3 blocks away, but
Right. Well,
my daughter
Minnesota's quite a ways, yeah.
St. Paul. So,
Okay, so perhaps okay, well, why don't you interpret these images, or at least talk about what you're noticing in these images, Jan? Like, forget interpreting them, just say what catches your eye. We'll start there.
well, I was obviously interested in the heart issues. She was a double outlet right ventricle, and she had her first open heart surgery when she was 3 months old. She's had 4 total procedures. I don't know if you can catch the scar tissue there, but basically cut from her navel to her throat on 4 separate occasions. And
I could check in.
she got donor tissue for her pulmonary valve and her pulmonary branch arteries when she was in 3rd grade.
Who from or what from?
From a 19-year-old who was killed in a car accident.
Right.
So
Hers had degraded, had it?
they've calcified, but not to the point that they need to replace them.
Right.
So
Okay. So
they had a 3D MRI done a couple of years ago that was incredible to watch.
yeah.
And
Well, you can run that through the Biofield viewer. I would encourage you to do that, even though it's 3 years old.
I hope I can get those films.
So
I
does
really
she get
do.
cold hands?
Does she get cold hands? No, she's my warm child. She does
She's
not
hot.
have the cold thing that the rest of us do.
Okay, so well, I mean, she's got to be running hot or cold by the sounds of it. And her arms look like they're sort of hot.
Yeah.
So,
She was very warm when she was down here. She thought it was too hot for humans to live. So
is she into, I mean, what am I trying to say here? She has, have you noticed the difference between the patterns on her left and right side of her torso? Have you noticed that?
I mean, obviously I can see it.
Did you notice it before? Can you, Lawrence, stick your white arrow where you think I might be talking?
I'm on an iPad, but
Okay,
yes,
don't
I'll
worry
just
about
say
that.
over the spleen,
Right.
it's very hot and red.
Yeah.
Whereas over the liver, it's sort of green.
Yeah, nice. Well noticed. I mean, I think you can get away with saying over the spleen. I think that's a very clever word, Lawrence. Probably not too many people are as clever as you, and I would like to draw everyone's attention to that. I talk about the energy associated with the liver and the energy associated with the spleen, because as a non-medical doctor, I have no right in the current medical worldview to make any comments about the actual organ function. But we can have a fabulous conversation about the meridians and the energy flow and all kinds of aspects. And so by saying over, somehow Lawrence managed to shrink 20 words into 1. So I'll tip my hat to that. So does she clench, your daughter?
No.
Does she
But
have
I will tell you, I had a lot of trouble talking her into letting me take her pictures. And when I asked her why, she said, because all they're going to be able to see is how sad I am. So she's processing a lot of grief right now. And she
Right.
was sure that you would be able to see that in her pictures.
Right. Well, I hope she gets to see this recording because I don't think we've mentioned anything sad or grief.
No.
No, actually,
Go
I
on.
was looking at the large intestine meridian.
Hang on, I'm gonna let.
So I was looking at the large intestine meridian, and that runs, it starts from here and it goes up the thumb, and she's got two lines that I'm showing on her arms, and it goes up
Okay.
and around the forearm, back around just the back of the shoulder here. Up kind of not entirely the back, but almost kind of the back of the neck, around the ear. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going triple warmer now because there's that too a little bit. And up to the face here, which is showing kind of on the jaw. And I'm reading that here in large intestine meridian is in the metal element, and the large intestine has to do with letting go of the past. So she may or may not have, large intestine issues. I don't know, but you say she's going through a lot of grief. That would calculate there, as well as some things possibly going on with the triple warmer. You say she runs hot. Triple warmer has to do with adrenals and thyroid, heat regulation in the whole system. So, that's a thing. And then the liver meridian too is kind of affected. I was looking at that, but
Can we see more pictures that have been taken, Lawrence? Any more just back and front? Okay, well, remind me of your daughter's name.
Alyssa.
Alyssa. Okay, well, in the traditional sense of grief and sadness, I wouldn't bring that subject up at all. Only in this concept of not being able to let go of stuff is it relevant, and therefore it's only really showing up in the large intestine meridian, not in the traditional sense of sadness. So that may give her some respite, knowing that we're not even witnessing that dragging shield of sadness, but much more someone who just needs a toolkit for dealing with processing some stuff.
Yeah.
And okay, so I was drawing our attention in the first image to the area on the torso just above where she has her hand, and Lawrence mentioned like the hot red, like coals almost over the spleen. Well, there's two or three massive flags here for us in terms of esoteric physiology, which is that when we breathe deeply, we pump the diaphragm, and the diaphragm sets spinning the splenic chakra. So if someone has got a kind of cardiovascular issue, they may not be like comfortable even with, they may just have a slightly compromised breathing protocol, let's say. And so I would encourage your daughter to go down the route of an integrative practitioner who understands, what she might be dealing with, but, give her better access to kind of breath work. That's really one major flag. And the other thing is that when we see a lot of yellow in the field, which we've seen in all three generations, which we're calling mentalizing a little bit, that always is not breathing. And in fact, we encourage people who've got yellow in their field to breathe, because it's almost like they're holding their breath. They're thinking about something and they forget that they're even sitting there. And at best, they're just shallow breathing through their nose, just kind of 10% capacity. And that doesn't even get the diaphragm to flutter. So that means you're not drawing in prana through your splenic chakra. This is a key issue, is that you're not drawing in prana through your splenic issue. Now, tell me about your actual relationship with your daughter, because from the images that I'm seeing, they tell me she's actually shielding when she's with you.
She didn't want these pictures taken.
She really didn't, no.
But is that a fair thing to say, that she's a little bit guarded with you, maybe not so much with other people?
I
Say no if it's not.
really don't think so.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't want to put you in a
She's
corner.
always been more willing to talk to me. She has two brothers who are
Okay.
very
Well, let me keep
keep to
going because
themselves. So
let me keep going
no, I
because
don't think so.
let me keep going because
No.
you're going to find yourself in this place. Okay, Jan, you're going to find yourself right here, which is we have layers of questions. So if it's not one thing, is it the other thing or is it the third thing? So that
Okay.
particular area on her midriff, which we're seeing on the right-hand side of her body, but it is the left side, relates to the mother. It relates to the feminine. Like if she was, say, sexually orientated differently from other girls, for example, that may be why she would have her shield up in that region. She just, I don't know. I don't know, but it just that asymmetry.
She
Pardon?
just broke up with her boyfriend.
Right. Ah, okay.
Mm.
Okay. Well, that's already showing this asymmetry in that region. But
Right.
let me
And
go
he
deeper.
broke up with her before she had a chance to break up with him. And of course, makes it even worse.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. She's looking at us like a pirate who's just been busted burying his treasure. And like, did they see where I put it? It's like, I get that. She's kind of suspicious. But there's still a lot for us to talk about here, and I still want to cover that particular area, which is she a kind of homemaker?
she's a very good cook. Um, she has a cat that she just adores.
Right, because the
Um,
pink patch we're seeing may explain this home busting element of splitting up with her boyfriend. That
yeah.
it's not shields up for mum, it shields up for the fact that I'm now homeless or I've just. But can you tell us a little bit about that? Because obviously she may watch this and I'd like to follow it
Yeah.
through.
They weren't living together, but they'd been dating for about 6 months, and she really thought he might
The
have
one, yeah.
potential.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, she's going to hopefully hear this and see that that asymmetry is an issue, not for any other reason than it's making her tensegrity lopsided, and therefore the ability for her amplitude to be raised to be held back. So we want to see symmetry, like you and your mother have got banging symmetry, and your daughter has everywhere but for that region. So if she could address that region with breath work and just kind of getting clear about, her home space and, her girls. Go on.
Well, her work declared bankruptcy the same day the boyfriend broke up with her, and that was 2 weeks ago. And so she's got no job. She's got no.
Right.
She's
Yeah.
sad. She's very sad. She's got a lot of grieving going on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to deny that by what you're saying. Can we see the back image, please, Lawrence? That's actually a better, straighter image. Yeah, you see, there's a little bit of tension across the shoulders. But we're not seeing those blue arms in the same way, which is interesting, isn't it? Because we're seeing very sort of like suntan arms on the front, and it makes sense because we don't really get our underarms quite so suntanned, so they're more in tune with everything else. And that image is actually wonderfully symmetrical, isn't it? She really does look good. And so again, all of the things she's going through, I think are kind of temporary. I don't see this being like a big storm. It's more just like something that's passing through. I mean, it may not feel like that, but yeah, there was one thing. Can we look at the front again? Because there's a lot going on. Like, okay, this throat. Look at that beautiful throat. No, that one just then. That Lawrence, that was an amazing pit there. No. Can you go? There's three
Let
front
me look
images.
here.
Oh, I do apologize. That one, just hold that one. We love that. That's a chakra viewer image, right? And I mean, to be honest, that's really beautiful. I mean, I would have tough, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't disbelieve people feel sad. That would be ridiculous. But I'm just saying this Biofield picture of someone who has got a lot more depth to them than just what you're talking about. This is someone who's like mega. and mega. I mean, look at her face, look at her third eye. That
Mhm.
that implosion on the third eye is the self-doubt that Token was referring to, this kind of large intestine meridian not having time and energy to process through.
Well,
Or
and not just that, the governing meridian, which goes straight from the tailbone all the way up the back and around the top to here, to
yeah,
the top lip. And if the governing meridian's off, it's because it's about support and flexibility. Her job just found out she just found about her job change. Her relationship went kablooey.
yeah,
So her governing meridian is totally
off. Yeah.
stressed.
Yeah, but that's my point again, is that these are transitory psychic phenomenon rather than,
Yeah.
like you've told me she's had all these heart surgeries and what have you. Well, I'm like, okay, and
Really tough.
yeah, but the thing is that she's healed. She's amazing. Like she's got an amazing rig in there. I mean,
Orange.
the fact that she's got some other piece of some other person is interesting, and in a funny sort of way she may have an element of that person's, a shard on her soul level of that person. I'd be interested to journey into that if she was, but the reality is it's not much. It's really vital organs that see entities, and that the actual soul kind of transporting with the organ. But cardiovascular system is kind of nestles the heart, I mean the soul. So okay, so tell us about her job. Was she spending a lot of screen time? Was she getting a lot of screen time?
She was a letterpress operator. She's a printmaker. She's
Right,
very creative, artistic type. So she
right,
uses her eyes a lot, but it wasn't screen time. It
right.
was,
Yeah, but still, she strained her eyes a little bit. And does
yeah,
she have sinus issues at all?
no,
Does she clench?
no,
Did she ever get a face injury of any kind? Like
not
a
that I
bicycle,
remember.
like bicycle handlebars on that left cheek, that kind of bone here, because that's hot. That's kind of there's something
Yeah,
going on there, and we're trying to work out what it is.
Well, she might have just been feeling her
not that I can remember.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just stuff. But it could just be the kind of pink cloud of her eye strain, but it could be
Mhm.
something more, I went to clenching and then I went to an old injury. But still, let's talk about this throat chakra, because this is absolutely amazing. That chakra there looks like a turquoise temple or something. It has a kind of brightness in the core of it. And yet there's quite a lot of pink around it. And what we associate this with the throat chakra is someone who's really like speaking their truth and totally like present, but they don't feel really heard.
I would say that was very true with her work.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, it's not the whole chakra. Sometimes we see it around the whole of the throat chakra, and then they're like, at home, they're not heard. At work, their husband doesn't listen to them, their colleagues don't listen to them. So, yeah, I mean, that's just something to say from my side, is that, wow, what an amazing powerhouse this woman is. She's got the ability to kind of go all day because
She
all of her
does.
are bright and energized, but she's got a little bit of self-doubt because of these recent challenges, and
Mhm.
just to get back into the space of feeling heard, like I have no doubt she's going to get another job.
Oh,
If
I have
she
no doubt either. She's,
Yeah. Yeah, so especially in that kind of role that she's got. So then the question is, what is the overriding recommendation with this image? Is like, um, sort out your happiness at home, really, like where are you in the happiest? Do you need to be in Arizona, Minnesota, or do you need to be in California? Where are you? First thing.
Mhm.
Second thing is develop a kind of regime for breath work, which allows her to kind of oxygenate, but also draw more prana into the body to slowly clear that kind of sluggish splenic channel. And then maybe from what Token has said, explore what Chinese medicine says about large intestine and, you know, why that, you know, meridian. Can you intercept those guys and tell them not to make any noise, please?
Sure.
Okay, so
So actually, more on that 5-element thing with the meridians.
really? Okay, so I think we're going to go now to Dolly's pictures, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Thor. Oh, never mind. We'll go back. I'll do it again. Another one. Go ahead, Dolly.
Okay, let me, oh. Wait,
Astrid, do you have any pictures later on?
I do have some more pictures, yes. I can pull them up.
We'll do Dolly's images and then yours, but you'll see what happens now. I'm going to ask Dolly to interpret her own images. Okay, so baselines, perfect, well done. Why are they so different? Tanya, why are those two images so different?
Because one is in pro and one is not.
Is that true, Dolly?
One is in Pro and the other one is Chakra Viewer on the right side, I think. so.
Brilliant, Tanya.
Are they? Hold on. But if you go to the next, hold on, go to the next image. They're both in pro or bio, no?
No, one is
Oh, no, one is chakra. Okay, but hold on. So that is the chakra lines.
Hang
That's
on.
bio. If you go to the back image, they're both bio.
Hang on, stop everybody. You can use Pro on Chakra and Biofield. I encourage you to have Pro on all the time unless you've got perfect light conditions without it. Is John here still? I know it's jolly late in Europe.
Yes, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Can you
Pro
say
is
something?
available. Pro is available all the time. Yes. Yes.
Look at these two pictures though. What would you say about them?
Yes, I agree. The right hand one would be Pro.
Okay, so just stay there, John. Dolly, can you show us the pictures of the next pictures there? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So again, both John and I would say, well done, Dolly, for taking both sets of these images because you're seeing color set changes with the different lighting conditions. And so that draws our attention to different aspects of something. We're not discouraged ever when we see, say, pink here in one image and pink down here in another. That's just layers of information for us. Okay, don't be discouraged by extra information. Now, there's something else that happens, John, isn't there, where sometimes Pro vacillates almost and drops up or down an octave because
Yeah, sometimes it does a big jump. It tries to stay constant. Usually it's constant. But if there's some big scene change, like a very bright or very dark object in the scene, or it'll completely readjust and create a new setting that's best, and then it'll try and stay with that.
even a cloud going in front of the sun when you've got Biofield light in your clinic room would be enough to make Pro jump the color set. And what I do is I just put my hand over the camera lens and just try and get it to recalibrate. Okay, Dolly. These images are fabulous. They're a little high in the sense you seem to be looking up at the camera somehow. It's very, you like to have that kind of, so the camera is normally at the same height as the chest and kind of straight to the chest. I feel here we're looking down a little bit, but carry on.
Okay, so yeah, I took several pictures, one with this type of blouse, the other one with more like a tank top.
Okay.
And I was calibrating, trying to find, the best lights. Again, I was using still using my ring light.
Right.
I have some others that I use a stronger light.
Right. Let's have a look at the other images. Let's go down because we can see the shadow at the top of your head in these images.
I think I'm sorry, this one in particular is the one that I took with the brighter light that for some reason created that shadow behind my, my
Yeah, I get
head.
it.
And, yeah.
But the thing is,
So-
we're still, what I would say about any image in the biofield viewer, imaging world, they're either in range for interpretation or they're not. And if they're not, you just reject them. It's just like, what the heck was going on? Was the sun behind this guy's head? You just can't interpret it. So these images are very much in range, even though you're, scoping your setup. This is still perfectly good. Importantly, you fill exactly the right amount of space in the image. Remember, I've said we want the person kind of taking up a third of the space. Well, that's really what we're seeing here. Go down to the next images.
Okay, let me show you this. Well, this one also was taken with the same light. For some reason, I just realized that I didn't pull up the ones with the ring light.
Right.
These are all taken with that bright light.
Okay, now there's another feature on the program, which is at the bottom of the screen, called Fit and Fill. John maybe can explain why we have it there.
Okay.
Yes, it depends on the screen you're displaying things on. You can either stretch the image to fill the whole screen, or you can have the other option, which tries to keep it proportional. So you obviously don't want people to appear much thinner than they really are, or much wider than they really are. So you would use the option to keep it proportional, but then you're going to have some margin on the top and bottom, or the sides of the screen, where there's no image.
Which is okay, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes you want an immersive experience where you just really want to fill the whole screen, and so that's why we have the two options.
So in other words, fit is the ones that you share and interpret, but the fill, when you fill the whole screen, you might want to actually look at that one, because you may have a kind of closer, effectively a zoomed in sense of a specific area. And so, yeah, brilliant, Dolly. Now, one thing I would say when I'm interpreting images, I look at all of the pictures first. I just look at all of them because each picture informs me. I don't normally start speaking straight away with a front shot. I think that's a bit loose. I think you need to take that 25 seconds to just go through, even if it's just the thumbnails, like we can see here on the side of the screen, but you just get a sense of the symmetry. Now, all of these images are front shots, so we're not really getting that much more information in reality here. But if we had the front, the side, the back, the legs, we'd just be like calculating. I mean, that's why human beings interpret X-rays and not computers, because we are able to create an integrative model in our head of what we're seeing from all these quilted images. It's a very important part of interpretation and analysis. So if you don't mind, Dolly, I'm going to interpret these images. Now, in your career, have you had kind of shoulder and neck strain? Is that a soft spot for you?
Oh, yes. Right now, my neck, it's always hurting. And my shoulders, I had a situation with my shoulder, the right one.
So what was that fellow? What was that fellow called who we were looking at yesterday? Wasn't he a massage therapist? What was his name, the gentleman?
I don't know.
Dolly, your business, your guy who works for you, who does massage.
Oh, Juan. Oh, yeah. Juan Maldonado. Yeah. I forgot. Yes.
I'm English. We have a very dry sense of humor. So I only say something like that. And I'm implying you've got this amazing massage guru, savant, at your, dare I say, fingertips. And yet your shoulders look like you could do with his magic Juan fingers on your shoulders. So
the thing is, I'm very particular who touches me. So, I trust Juan, but I've never asked him to, do any kind of massage or anything like that. But I'm very, very particular,
So where do you
when-
go for massage? Where do you go for that?
Well, the last time I went to massage, I had such a bad experience that
Yeah.
I decided that not for me.
Okay, let's do an experiment. Let's do an experiment. Tanya and Token, I'm challenging you two ladies live to organize a distant shoulder healing session for Dolly. And maybe like a 20-minute session every other day. I'm talking about we need to get this changed. So by next week, when Dolly comes on, she can say, "Oh my God, I feel so much better."
Yeah,
And they've
yeah,
got,
my
she's got-
range, yeah. My
and then
neck
also the images perhaps clear up some of this kind of stress lines running down her arms, which are like
Mhm.
lava flows.
Lava flows.
Lava flows.
So even then, Dolly, is it okay if I ask you a personal question or two?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
Well,
learning.
they're really intimate. So I'm gonna ask just because I'm also learning here as we're doing this.
Okay.
So like, are you in a current relationship right now?
Yes, I am. Yes.
And has it been a really long-term one?
Oh, yeah, my husband, 40 something years.
Okay. Is it a good one?
We're together. Let's put it that way. Yes.
So
we live together.
So what I see
Get
here,
along, but yes.
or what I possibly see here, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Do you feel like your head and your heart are connected, or do you feel like you stay in your head too much?
I'm a thinker, always all the time analyzing, all the time thinking, all the time, creating with projects mentally. I use my head a lot.
And do you feel like you can trust your intuitive heart and stuff?
Yes, I have had a lot of experiences when I just let my intuition, go and
Yeah, of course. Well,
and it doesn't fail.
right. Yeah, no, it never fails.
But other times I know what's going on and I decide not to act in my
That's where
intuition.
I'm getting it. Yeah.
Okay.
When those moments when you have that self-doubt, because you're always on point. And then those moments of self-doubt, that's what I'm seeing is that division from, or I think I was seeing it. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to confirm. Was that division of head and heart to be able to bring those back to center.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you this then, since Thornton gave us a challenge, I wanted to just do real quick. When you're looking at these colors, and there is a white one right here,
Mhm.
which one of these colors is working hard?
Which one of those colors is working? Let me turn on. I can hardly see. I would say the white is the one that's working. No?
Okay, very good. That isn't a good place to work because you're already working hard on that. So next question I'm going to ask you is which color just doesn't have the energy to move? Super tired.
Oh, the one at the top, that red.
Okay.
That's what I feel.
Awesome. So there's 4 parts to that red. There's top, bottom, and then there's left and right. So is it, or I should say, yeah, is it top or bottom?
What do you mean by top and bottom? I don't get that.
Which one lights up for you? You don't have to know just yet, but you've got a circle there and it's divided into quarters. There's the top half and the bottom half. Which one is working less right now? Or doesn't have the energy in this?
Okay, it's divided in quarters or it's divided in half?
Yeah, I started half to keep, it's divided in quarters. Pick your quarter.
I don't know, the upper right hands, I don't know how you divide it in quarters.
Upper right hand?
Upper
All right,
right
that's
hand.
okay. And Touch for Health, that's the triple warmer meridian. And the triple warmer meridian has to do with adrenals and thyroid.
Mhm.
Okay. So I would say do something that if feel more drawn to adrenals, something that supports that. Or if you feel more drawn to something in the thyroid, something that supports that. And I have some really basic things that you can do
Okay.
for that. They're called neurovascular holding points. They're
And
super light touch. They're just on the head, 2 fingers. And
Okay.
let me, and also actually there's one for the thyroid. It's right at that hollow right here at your neck.
Mhm.
That little triangle. You take 3 fingers for that one.
Okay.
And put them together and put them in an upper and touch there. Super gently light though. So, but the others, there's more points to touch. Some are one on each side of the head in front of the ear.
Why don't you hold up your book?
Well, because I don't know
I
how
know
well we
it-
can see that.
I know, but no way. Yeah, but not so much that. This crib sheet is this book, and so
Touch
that
for health.
yeah, in a sense, you see, Token is here for us to do some fundamental research into various different modalities that she's trained to teach in. So she's a qualified trainer of Touch for Health.
Yep.
So we're going to run through a lot of
Turned me loose.
biofield images in this regard. So we're lucky on this class that she's sitting in and helping us. Okay,
So
now
yeah, right here in
Uh-huh.
each front of the ears,
Okay.
right here.
Let
And
me
you
put on
can
my
take turns
glasses.
because you only have 2 hands, right?
okay,
Mhm.
I'm
And then the other one
going to give you the apple.
is on the posterior fontanelle. Yeah, I was right.
Okay.
So
Fontanelle is
the
up
guy
here.
that they took pictures for in the manual, it was super
Okay.
cool. He's
Oh,
got
okay, got
balding.
it, got it. I know where that is. I touch that place a lot. For some reason, I tend to touch that part of my head a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
We do this instinctively, I
Yeah.
think, because everybody goes like this. Not everybody, but some people go like this. That's a serious emotional stress release just to hold these because it has
Okay.
several neurovascular holding points, and a light touch draws energy to it. So that helps draw energy to the frontal lobes for a full brain activation instead of staying in the mid and base of the brain. It's important to have those functions for survival, but it's also nice to be able to think.
Okay. May I ask you something?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm touching the back of my head, that spot that you're talking about, and it hurts a little bit, when I'm.
Oh, super light touch, but I'm not surprised if it hurts. So, and when you hold those things, wait for the pulses to kind of come into sync. So if it's hurting, maybe take a sip of water because we are
Okay.
electrical.
Yes.
And water helps because we're electric. Those scientists, those crazy scientists, figured it out, something about water being a conductor and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And as we are that. So if you take a sip of water and then hold that point, that might help.
Okay.
And then and I think those are all the points for the triple warmer. Yeah. And then I am going to be quiet and let the amazing Tania go to town because she is truly awesome.
Yeah, so do you like that challenge, Dolly, that in 7 days these 2 girls can help you because
I will appreciate it. I will
you up
appreciate
for
it.
it? Are you
But
up
the
for
thing
it,
is that I
Tanya?
know they're very busy,
Absolutely.
and I don't know if
Well,
they're
hold on. Dolly, what's your pain scale? So one of my specialties is being able to pull pain immediately. So let's do something right now. We've got 15 minutes left. What's your pain scale at right now?
Right now it's much better. For some reason, today doesn't hurt that much, but there are days that I can hardly go like this or like this
Okay.
because it
So
hurts.
I'm hearing vagus nerve for you is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And I'm really hearing that, there's almost an exercise that you can do. And this isn't me doing any energy healing. And this works for any of us with high stress, is putting our hands behind our head, leaving our face looking straight. And then with our eyes turn to the corner of our elbow and try to get our eye looking back here, and wait till you have a sigh or a yawn on each side, but keep your head focused straight. And when you get that sigh or the yawn, relax and then look to the next side and do that side. And when you've released, you can actually release your vagus nerve, which almost feels like an hour massage on your shoulders. And I'm
Okay,
here
great.
for that
not
for you.
just your vagus nerve. What you're describing accesses so many different things. For
And
vision,
I'm
I'm going to
seeing
do
that
that
in
I'm
two
talking
tonight.
about
different
sight. I'm talking about vision, as in all of your senses,
Okay.
and releases that sympathetic nervous
I'm
system.
sorry, ladies. Let's carry this
Oh, yeah.
enthusiasm into next week
Sure.
because for sure I want to see Lawrence's image, but I also want to see Astrid's images even before that. So can you share your screen, Astrid? And then Tanya, maybe in the last few minutes, we can look at the glorious Lawrence's images.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So Dolly, you're going to do that with, I don't think you need to do anything now. You just need to take another set of images of yourself just before class next Friday, Dolly. And
I
we'll
will do
see,
that.
we'll compare. Okay, brilliant. This is wonderful imagery. I even think, Astrid, these are better than Dolly's in the sense that you really do have the camera in the right place and you really have got a third of the person in the image. Dolly's a little bit far away, whereas take your images, Dolly, the same as this week, if you like, and a bit closer. So we've got two sets so we can compare honestly those images. But these I prefer in terms of, now, if someone's got to wear a tank top like this, is this a dress that goes the whole way down, Astrid?
No, this was a tank top.
Right, okay. So,
I did also make a series of photos. This is actually my mother when
uh-huh.
she was visiting from the Netherlands. Also in her bra,
Okay,
but
cool.
I can't find them right now.
No worries, but
Mm.
still, anyway, I would always try and persuade someone to roll up their top like Dolly did in her set, so we can get some information from the belly. But that's just by the by. So these images look fantastic. Is this like pro on the left and Chakra Viewer without pro on the right?
I believe so.
Because if it isn't, it's that other thing that John was describing earlier, that sometimes Pro gets a new input. And so in order to keep the detail vivid, it kind of changes, you could changes its color set. Okay, so
Yeah, I have it standard set on Pro, so I would assume it is.
yeah.
It is.
Again, we've got
Mhm.
information in both sets of images. That's why I say to people, keep them, show them, interpret them, don't be put off by them. It's just, it could even be the person themselves is vacillating. We don't know. This person, your mum, could be vacillating from the healer mystic on the left, on the right-hand side, to the thinking kind of divinity on the other side. You know, these are the two, you know, that lovely green around her head and all those kind of strong purples and richer hues, you know, that to me is, you know, it's quite significant. But anyhow, I want to ask you a few questions first. Is your mum an overthinker?
100%.
Okay, so that explains the rings of yellow we're seeing in the top left image. That's the normal shot. Now, does she have, now I noticed from a purely practical, physical level, her head seems to be tilted slightly to one side. Is that something you notice when you actually look at her? Does she have that kind of, is it scoliosis or something?
She has hip issues, and if I believe she may have gotten healed from that, but I'm not quite sure. But she has a length difference in her legs, which then offsets the hips and the entire back.
Right. Yeah. It figures because those hot spots on her shoulders speak to that. I call it safe mode, you know, when there's tension in the muscles from slightly imperfect asymmetry, which you're going to get. Now, often what we call pelvic issues or hip issues is a kind of rotation, and that makes one leg, dare I say, even appear longer than the other one. And sometimes obviously people have literally bones that are a good centimeter or so shorter, but it sounds to me, does your mum like to swim?
Yeah, actually, I was raised in a swimming pool because she was a professional, not a lifeguard, but a teacher of all
Yeah.
kinds of swimming type things.
Yeah, this is a bit like what Token was saying to Dolly about, we touch ourselves where we know we need it. And for someone like your mum, that swimming was an instinctive thing. That career meant that she had much better fluidity and mobility in her system, because that's exactly the right thing for her to have been doing all this time. And I guess, is she out of the pool now?
She is. She has an office job now, but she does continue swimming a lot.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, that's cool. So tell me about her teeth and jaw. Does she have fillings? Is she of that generation?
Dentures.
Oh, wow. Lucky her. That's where I'm heading. So does she clench her dentures? Or does she keep her dentures in? What's going on with her jaw, do you think? Could you?
A lot of clenching. Mhm.
Oh, she is a clencher, right. So, sorry, Token, you were saying something about the jaw yesterday. What was that? This.
The jaw and the hips both carry all the things in them.
Come on, don't say all the things.
Okay.
That's too Utah. That's far too Utah.
All right, I will expand on that. So in the hips, many things converge: nervous system, digestive system. It's part of the beginning of all the
Not things, please.
sorry, working on it or not. And also in the jaw. So many nerve endings and a lot of different meridians even run through the side of the head, jaw, come up through here. This is a serious PowerPoint
Yeah.
for being able to access everything the brain does, everything the body does in harmony. Okay. As well as the hip, the pelvic region, setting in that creates a complete circuit for knowing where your body's at in space.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
And
you had one word, would it be battery? Would it be which part was it? Is it like is it the memory? Is it like energy storage? What's the jaw doing in terms of all this data's flowing through it? Is it the scanner, the stress scanner?
it would be like the information bank
Right.
in both places,
Right.
and
The
as
hip
well
and
as
jaw.
a communication checkpoint circuit, like a capacitor, even almost a place of storing the energy and dispersing it to other places, but it holds all the memories
But this is why we clench,
here
no,
and
because
here.
we're not letting go of this
Right.
stuff.
Or letting it through might be too much information. I mean, it could be a variety of.
So is your mother a good breather, Astrid, would you say? When you notice her, does she ever
Actually not. From all those years working in chlorine-filled swimming pools in the Netherlands, she has a lot of bronchial issues,
Yeah.
sinus issues, asthma.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing in these images, isn't it? We can't see as much as we'd like to, but we're seeing the challenges on the chest and kind of in the cheeks where the sinus cavities are. But I mean, the thing is, I would, I mean, obviously, there's going to be a protocol which is going to help, reverse some of this damage. I don't know whether it's just pranayams or whether it's something kind of deeper where, maybe some of this chlorine has actually gotten tangled up in some of her tissue, or somewhere. But I mean, bless her, this is not a red flag Biofield set of images by any stretch of the imagination, because we're led by symmetry first, then brightness, focal points, things that catch our eye, and all of the focal points that we can see relate to a hard-working woman who's lived a kind of good, honorable life, but she doesn't take her fair share of breaths. She just, it's like you've got to give her permission to have a spa day every week, a bit like Dolly needs to give herself permission to have her half day off every week and go to the spa. These girls are full on, and now she's, otherwise tell her, that what'll happen is she'll have a pension pot of all these hundreds of thousands of euros, which she should have spent in the spa when she was still, you know, enjoying life. That's really it. You've got to persuade mama to loosen up. That's what these images are telling me. The show, everything is just like, my prescription for your mum is go to the spa once a week with your friends.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing him say as well, and in my own genre, is see the lungs and the diaphragm and all of that also in the metal element
That's the
has to do
steam.
with
That's the steam room.
have to do with self-worth.
The eucalyptus steam room in the sanctuary, you know,
Yes,
the
eucalyptus. I
Havan.
love the eucalyptus. That feels so good when you have all those asthma and other things. But does she feel like she's worth it? Does she feel like she can take care of herself?
Well, she's still a young lady, no?
I don't know.
She's 70. She would hate me for telling that. She's 70, very independent, does really does take pretty good care of herself. But yeah, I believe that there has been a lot of trauma that would connect to self-worth or lack thereof, or a
And
doubt of self-worth.
Yeah.
doubt and trauma, or the trauma causes you to stay in the sympathetic nervous system and breathe shallowly. It's a shallow breath, not a deep breath.
Yeah.
And when it's exacerbated over time, then your body is like throwing out these indicators. Hey, come, please get my attention. I'd like your attention, please. And over time, if you don't listen, those indicators get louder.
Mm.
And that's when the other things bring in, more of this information.
What did we say earlier? I think we've been I think we've really nailed it. But I want to ask one more question, if you don't mind, Astrid. Would you say your mother's frustrated?
Is she frustrated? Yeah, I think so. I do think so.
Because when I look at her picture and I see any asymmetry, any kind of catch my eye, I'm then following it down and I see this amazing throat chakra. And in these images, we're really seeing kind of a lot of, I mean, that blue is so rich. This is someone who, dare I say, I don't know, but I should imagine your mother has a great personal faith. And when she speaks for kind of, when she's having that type of conversation with someone, she's almost like speaking for divinity. She's got real presence and people take it on.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it has a really powerful effect on her. Yeah. But because of this slight personal, tell me about your father, for example. Is he still with her?
No.
So what sort of, go on.
She's on her third marriage. And betrayal was the theme with the prior to.
Right. So, but she is in a marriage now with her third husband.
Yes.
And is that one working nicely for her?
Again, she would hate me for saying it. I don't know why she married this gentleman. To me, it feels like he is her project. There is no compatibility. They have no other interests, nothing. So does it work? They live in the same place. I don't think there's companionship or anything that would define a healthy relationship that is life-giving and adding to an individual.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I agree with that. Maybe a very perceptive analysis of it, but her loneliness might be a lot worse. There could be this placeholder could be saving her from all kinds of other things, which is worth it to her, which you perhaps don't have that same sense of value to, I would think. Otherwise, she'd be living with you in America by now.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay. So
may I ask you, where do you see the loneliness component? Is that through the chakra?
The which?
Is it when you look at the throat chakra? Is that where you?
No. Sorry. No, I was saying, I think this gentleman has a place for her because she doesn't like loneliness. I'm just making that assumption. And I don't know whether that's even true or not, but if someone's had 3 husbands, I would guess they don't really need to be alone in the same way other people might. I don't know. But anyway, where I was going ultimately was with frustration, because that's showing up in her field. The pink down her shoulders on the top image, and also the asymmetry down the back of her arms. That to me is a telltale sign if someone doesn't have a healthy energy flow, like around her circuit. She's giving so much that she's not got the balance right, or she's clogged up, and that's a kind of, it's a spiritual frustration. That's why I asked you, is she frustrated? Because, and then, okay, my next question is, does she have arthritis at all?
Yes, she has onset of arthritis.
Right. And where does she have it?
In her back.
Right. Okay. So then this is, this is an emotional response to this divine vessel not feeling totally heard and respected, like we saw in another case earlier, not feeling valued, or not getting it her right herself to get to feel valued. It's a tango. And so there's this like frustration, and that builds up, and then we end up with this sort of frustration becoming a kind of calcification, if you like, that can be arthritic in nature. So I don't know, people tell me to eat tomatoes and cherries. Does your mum like cherries?
I don't know. That's a good question. I can ask
Can
her.
you tell her that Dr. Streeter recommends she buys a bag of cherries? I don't even know whether we're in season, but I should imagine she could get some cherries.
I'm sure.
Because that kind of, there's a trigger there which might, get her a bit loose. Does she like to move now? I mean, with this arthritic back, presumably she needs to kind of roll on a rubber ball and stretch and be sensible to keep moving.
Yeah, she's an avid walker and swimmer. She's very active for her age, and considering her physical well-being or lack thereof, she's actually very active.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is about the arthritic tendency in the spine, we may well in 20 years decide that this is just a kind of fuzzing up of the cathode and the anode, that sort of Ida and Pingala, and that it's just simply a matter of changing the kind of epigenetics, and then all of those little micro spurs can just get digested and integrated into the kind of interstitial fluid, and then kind of just become part of something else. So, I feel that a lot about, the pigeonholing of diseases. And the good thing about Biofield images is that we can encourage people to eat certain things, avoid certain foods, do certain things, and actually see, well, now you've got your mum's baseline images, she can send you a set from Holland every week, just kind of so you can track these clearing aspects through, because the moment she starts feeling better from recommendations, now we haven't really done anything per se yet. We're just kind of assessing these images, but I guess I did say try eating cherries. And again, if she's a clencher, there's a sense that perhaps we could do some breath work. Do you have any more images, Astrid, that you want to go through? Because I do want to see Lawrence's pictures as.
Maybe we can do Lawrence's first, and I can pull up the other ones.
Can I just mention really, really quickly one thing? What Thornton was saying about the emotions in the back. If you look at the lower left corner picture, and imagine when she's a little girl, somebody socks her in the back really hard, and she pulls her left arm back, like I'm wounded and protecting myself, and then it rolls her shoulders forward. And I just feel very strong emotional tension, like feeling like a wounded person.
Yeah, like a
Anyway,
broken wing. Yeah, the
yes.
wounded healer. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you can see from images when, I mean, to be honest, I like the Biofield viewer image because it super accentuates things enough to notice them. But like I said to all of you before, get a transparent ruler, slide it up and down your screen, use it so you can notice where the shoulders are level. Your mum's shoulders aren't level. That's why I asked her the first thing I said, why is her head pitched off to the right? No. But you get to notice that more, especially because she's also in this white box. A biofield viewer is in a rectangular box, and it allows us to notice things that aren't parallel or straight to it. And also some of the other images we've seen today, people have been using the white line. Now, if you click on that icon twice, you get a white line this way and this way. So again, you can use that white line to notice whether the shoulders are higher or lower. But I think it's interesting. I mean, generally, Lawrence, I don't interpret through stripy, like lycra type fabrics, which is why I was suggesting earlier, but you may well be absolutely right. I mean, it could be shadow from the kind of electric fibrous stuff, so I kind of don't really like to go there, but I don't doubt you, especially the front shot really does seem a lot more convincing. Like she's got a whole kind of sense of congestion around her midriff, and that probably is quite real. I mean, I should imagine, Astrid, in the other images you've got of your mum, there's quite a lot of pooling around the waist, and that again would, I mean, how is her digestion? How's her intestinal flora?
It's never been great.
Yeah, maybe that would be a way to work with her, because remotely you could find some magic stuff, probiotics. I mean, I don't know which one, but probably if she makes her own spelt bread and drinks kombucha and, makes her own yogurt or whatever, that would be a better tact, because then her consciousness is going into the kombucha and the ritual of making and nurturing the mushroom. It's like having another cat. I mean, that's what she needs. The ritual of serving herself is a very important thing for mums to be encouraged to do, because they've served us so much, and we're going to wipe their asses in 20 years. Let's just give them the kombucha recipe now. Okay.
One more question, just for information. How is her bladder?
Right now, she has a lot of issues. She can't really hold her urine or bowels really well, and
So
has
what
to, if she feels something, she gotta run.
Okay, good. Thank you. I mean, it hits all the meridians, and I'm really encouraged today. Just everybody, thank you for answering all my probably strange questions. Because if I had a full body, like images head to toe, what I'm seeing even just in these glimpses are the meridians in the body that are affected. And I'm like, oh, maybe I can do this. Yeah,
It's useful.
So
obviously
excited.
Undressed is the best, but even just a white cotton short. Okay, so Lawrence, do you have your images on your computer, on your
I
iPad?
do. Let me share here real quick.
I mean, I have time to go back to Astrid's unattended images as well. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Wow.
Wow.
Cool. I just said wow when I saw that as well. Now, again, yellow means, deep, highly spiritual. I call it base camp, but it's really just an analogy. It's just below the summit of your own spiritual journey. And the fact that we've got breakout of the white on the shoulders, the little wings coming up here. I know it looks bluish, but this picture is weird in its graphic tone. I don't know exactly what instrument it's been taken on, but it's got all the information that we need to give it a proper analysis. So again, this is someone who's, if you've not heard me say this expression, I do say it once in a while, who's vacillating between feeling like divinity personified and feeling horribly human. So it's this, like 90, well, let's say 60% of the time you're just in flow state, serving the other, in divine mode. The triage of the higher sensory perception is fully kicked in. There's no valve burn because you're not even there. And then suddenly I don't know, some electricity bill arrives and you start kind of biting your fingernail, or you said something to somebody and you don't know how well they took it, and you just, you mentalize. Are we near Lawrence? Are you a Zen master who doesn't do mentalizing, or are you a bit of a thinker yourself?
And loop on things for sure. And I've experienced that Zen clearness state once in a while, or samadhi state once in a while, but for some reason it's like lying on a beach in paradise, and I never feel like I want to be there.
Wonderful.
I don't know why.
No, well, that's the best thing. Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. But still, what about the thinker? Are you a big thinker?
I have this analytical brain. I was an electrically trained engineer and had a lot of semesters of higher math.
Right. Cool. So you'd be a great
And
collaborator.
I do a lot of systems analysis and
Yeah, I mean, those fabulous glasses you're wearing look like a spaceship all on their own, to be honest.
nice. Yeah, yours too. I had to take them off for this photo, and my 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 eyes go pretty weak in a way without my
Right.
glasses.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a sense of that. I get that you're very focused. Okay, so let's go down the other side of these amazing images and find some asymmetry. The only stuff that really pops to me is a kind of pattern around the neck, as if Lawrence was wearing a kind of ceremonial kind of orange and, I don't know, rich Burma ruby kind of necklace. And then also what we're seeing down right near the sort of trouser line on the left-hand side of the body. Are you married, Lawrence?
Separated right now.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I mean, when we see that slight shielding, remember it was much more on the image you shared of Jan's daughter, but there's still a slight asymmetry there. So it's almost like you like it's a hot knot, we could call it. Maybe to be processed, another time. But I mean, the symmetry in your image is amazing. And so even your shoulders are beautifully aligned. Is this the only image you've got?
I've got this chakra view
Okay.
that I had from before as well.
By the way, I have to commend all of you on your amazing film sets that you're all rocking. I mean, Dolly's lighting is just wild, that kind of turquoise and the sort of golden light she's sitting in. Jan's film set, well, that's just amazing, that firework thing going off by her head. Lawrence has got what looks like, I don't know, is it a Victorian organ or a bedhead or some kind of amazing, fabulous giant cabinet? Anyway. Okay, great. Yeah, even more clarity about the symmetry. And in a way, that little peanut we were talking about seems to disappear off in this setting. There is a sense of kind of heaviness in the arms and again around this throat area. And I wonder whether you were relating to what I was saying about frustration earlier, because it's almost like you're on level 1, whereas Astrid's mother is on level 4. And you can go up to 10 if you want to.
Yeah, well, it could go well back to what you said about the human experience, just feeling like a miserable human, not doing as good as I could do
Right.
all the time. So,
but that's still very humble. I mean, the thing is, these are war wounds, what you have got, along with Astrid's mother. These are not like negative shards that you have to karmically process. These, when you're standing in front of Saint Peter, he looks you up and down and goes, "Oh, I like the look of those," because they're signs of humility. They're not. You know, it may well be that, you know, your intent, you know, is currently getting focused, you know, into some kind of loop which covers everything. What was it you saying about, well, you know, when your mom said you've got to care for yourself?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
If you're going to care for me, you've got to care for yourself. This
First.
kind of basic.
The caretaker has to take care of themselves before they can take care of anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you're spending your free time doing important, you know, engineering and stuff, then again, you're in that ergonomic kind of, yeah, just not
Well,
really.
I was trained as a naturopath, but I'm as an engineer, but I became a naturopath, and now I'm a teacher trainer in nutripuncture, which is a bioenergetic from France,
Yeah, we looked it
holistic
up
healing
after.
system.
We looked it up after last week. It just seems totally wild. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this picture we're looking at, big screen, is someone who on a maths paper gets 96%. So we're nitpicking 4% here, right? So of course you
Please.
are. Of course you are. But
Yeah.
I mean, so this can be an image, but I mean, you know, like look at your heart, look at the colors at your heart. This is presence. That color is, that green is the color presence. And so, you know, you have access to your higher sensory perception, and that's why your face looks like the album cover of a Jean-Michel Jarre, you know, concert, because you've got all kinds of, you know, I mean, I don't know for sure. Now, I don't, I mean, I have the most scary teeth in the whole wide world, partly because I don't have very many of them left. But the odd time I've glimpsed into your chops, they don't look the most beautiful part of you either.
Yeah, I got a tooth knocked out when I was young, and I'm dealing with that right now. And it got infected, the steel post that was put there, and so I'm dealing with that. And then if you look down the midline to where the navel is,
Yeah.
and you see a little drop energy, that's an old umbilical hernia that I'm self-healing. Never
Oh.
been worked on, but you can pick something up there below the solar plexus area
Yeah, definitely. Well,
as well.
any line that's wibbly wobbly, any line that we like thin pink lines. Biofield viewer, we like thin pink lines, like the contour on a map. Whenever they fatten out, that's a sense of slowing and almost etheric sediment, which isn't getting it hasn't got the flow rate. So scarring will do that. But you know, we're nitpicking with you because those thin pink lines are very much in the thin category. But again, you know, lots of other things to notice in these images. Look how the color sets jump from, say, yellow to silver to yellow. That's really clear. It's like there's real clarity between the colors. And sometimes you'll see someone's color matches, they have a good inch or two of speckling of each color into each color. And so that is a stress signal. It's when they're blown out. What do we call it when people burn out? Burnout would be, and whereas this has clarity and integrity, these color sets. So even though, you know, this is a young, healthy energy field because of its symmetry, its brightness, and because of these color bands being bright, clearly defined. Okay, I'm going to stop
I want to
praising.
mention briefly too. I was self-healing an incidence of tetanus,
Oh,
and I literally felt the lockjaw, kind of come on me.
yeah,
And I was in a spiritual domain to figure out what to do about it. And I took a bunch of nutripuncture, but
right.
I had this Tron-like collar, like drop in on me, like just this massive collar. So that thing you're seeing, the collar thing, was actually healed me in that moment. I
Oh,
lay around for a couple of days and sweat on the floor, but it healed me in a moment of tetanus.
Well, it sounds like a kind of a shamanic award. I hope I was describing it with enough reverence because these things aren't, totally usual, but it does feel like it is like a bejeweled and kind of, a special gift. Like I said, a war wound on the one hand, but these, on another level, you'll hear me speaking about badge of honor, like when we're holding the matrix either for a healing force or for the school, like these are things like we get medals for doing that kind of shit. And you
Oh,
wearing,
that's beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
literally.
the arms, the weirdness in the arms is, me like really kind of six children and carrying, a really lot of responsibility. And sometimes it gets hard, and I feel like the weight in my arms of what I'm trying to carry.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's also a healthy relationship with getting the living daylight sucked out of you. If you can fill out your lower arms like Popeye, then those six little cuckoos in the nest learn pretty quick that they're going to get so much from dad, but after a while, you're going to have to walk.
Or eat more spinach.
Yeah, right. Okay, guys. Well, I feel like we've kind of gone over time, and poor John, it's like 2 in the morning for him. We're going to meet next Friday. This is going to go on probably for, I don't know, 9 weeks in all. I think we're in week 3. When I say 9 weeks, we're going to be doing some actual Biofield lab stuff. Like I'd like to see you do some research. And so, it may not actually be that we meet 1 week or another week because you may need a bit of time. My colleague, Kokila, did a master's and then a PhD with the Biofield Viewer as the central assessment tool in a chakra kind of Vedic up-to-date alignment study. And I highly recommend you have a look at it because she drew images into JPEG so she could quantify them. And there's all kinds of filters in JPEG which allow you to focus on very specific things. And if you hear her dissertation, what we're actually experiencing is a whole other level of interpretation because we can start talking about the chemistry and the hydration and other things that really we're not doing in chakra and biofield viewer mode. So be excited by these opportunities. And the other thing I'd like you to do, there's 2 YouTube videos. One is called Strolling Under the Skin, and it's a sort of 1980s visit to the fascia. And I just think it'll blow you away when you realize the kind of lenses and structures just under the surface of the skin, which could be playing a part in the emanation of the biofield. Um, when you think about, I describe the biofield being made up of the 1,000 of torchlights from the acupuncture points. And when they get blocked up with the etheric soot, the acupuncturist has to get a needle like a chimney sweep and unblock them. But the reality is that there's no gap. When we look at the Keelian photograph of the fingertip, it's the plasma is shining out of the grooves in our skin. So again, if you look at your skin surface and you see all those little cracks, the light is shining out of all of those cracks more brightly, all of those tiny little creases. And again, if you watch Strolling Under the Skin and the implications to healing and what we can see in biofield images, I think you'll like that. And the other one is called Invisible Reality. And it's a video made by my colleague, I mentioned her earlier, Elia Kostova. She also was the lady who had been processing MRI and PET scans through the biofield imaging system. And she's on YouTube as Netropia, which is Neitropia. Now, this invisible reality is just a very interesting process. You can even see the software she's used at the end of the video. She credits it. And she did it on an iPad. I think it was a Microsoft version of an iPad. And what she did was she took a 3D image of somebody and she just zoomed in to this small portion on their shoulder. And so when you watch Invisible Reality, understand that we can go to a micro scale with Biofield imaging and observe structures that you've never ever seen before, regardless of molecules and atoms and Planck length. This is the structure of the ethers, and they form what we call fenestrations, windows. These windows have brightness around, like where the frame would be, but a sort of strange abyss in the middle. And you'll see them in this video. And then also,
What's her name again?
Elia Kostova. And if you, as you zoom in deeper and deeper and change the color sets of the images that are being revealed in her process, again, which she uses, you can see also crystalline structures. And it's interesting that we see the same structures, whether we're looking at a Biofield image or a Kirlian image. Now, some of her videos have been banned in America. You can't actually see them. So if you have a VPN, it might be sensible to try and access them through that. But there is one or two that you can see, and I think Invisible Reality is in there. She even noted that there's a kind of sacred symmetry in the Biofield image at that micro scale. You know, she can see different structures that have that kind of sacred symmetry, which amused her. So anyhow, I'm going to leave you guys with those two little choice pieces, Strolling Under the Skin and Invisible Reality, and look forward to seeing you next Friday at 4:30. And God bless you all. It's lovely spending some time with you. And thank you very much to my colleague Token for sharing her Meridian insights. It's all just to trigger you. We do this to trigger you. And I think we've been doing a pretty good job, especially with Tania as our ringmaster. Thanks, John, for coming and being there to answer our queries. And again, John is here for you to get to know him. It might not be in this call or this session, but it's like, gee, John, I've got a new computer. Or look up here, guys. You know, we're doing some experiments with the, I don't know whether you can see that. That's a kind of camera setup. And we're doing Biofield imaging through a projector and creating the optimum kind of operating theater where we can see the chakras on the body surface. So if we take some nice clips this week, I'll share them. I'll share them next week. But get a projector. Do it yourselves. See you later. Well done.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Bye.